Quickest way to a woman's heart is through the church.
It's actually through the rib cage, but that's a bit messy.
It's crazy to me that Wes Craven and Eddie Murphy worked on a film together. It's cool to point out that the story of Vampire in Brooklyn was actually wrote by the three brothers, Eddie, Vernon, and of course the late great Charlie Murphy, and they made a hell of a story with this one. Vampire in Brooklyn, you would think would be like kind of a comedy thing that, they market it as a bit of a comic tale of horror and seduction. I would say it leans more towards the horror and seduction than it does the actual comedy, because there is comedy in there, like with the preacher Paul and different things like that. John Witherspoon, of course, is in this film, but he nails his performance in every fucking scene he's ever been in. So and he's just naturally funny even without trying to be, which is great, because they could have got someone in there that was gonna like force the humor and it not work, because it's happened in the past. But no, they really do a good job with this one. So basically, I'm gonna refer to Eddie Murphy in this film as Dracula, and the movie basically does kind of play out like Dracula in ways that he shows up and he wreaks havoc. And one of the things that's different about this film is, say your Renfield character in this film, like, is basically his daytime protector as well, and drives him around and all that, shows him around New York, that kind of stuff. And he's got like that New York attitude. He was actually the dude that plays his ghoul, or the Renfield character, is actually from a really great movie called Panther, which is an excellent film talking about the Black Panthers. And speaking of Black Panthers, Angela Bassett is in this film, who's also in Panther, and she's played Betty Shabazz, who is Malcolm X's wife, multiple times, and she's a great actress. She's been around the block a few times in terms of being on the screen, which is great. So you have some heavy hitter actors in this film. And one of the most unique parts about this film that I really love is how Eddie Murphy, in his narration in the beginning of the film, he talks about how, the vampires started off in Africa, but when shit hits the fan there, some of them moved up north to Transylvania, but the ones with finer taste went to the Caribbean, and like all that kind of like his very suave, and like he's seducing me basically with what he's saying. Like he's so it doesn't feel forced, any of this movie, because some of those later Eddie Murphy films, like, they just feel forced, but this one's great. It's great, and there's lots of great moments in this film, like where Eddie Murphy, he kind of saves our Renfield character's ass because he's about to get messed up by some mob guys, and like Eddie just fucks with him. He's like, I've been shot, or I've been stabbed before, I've been lit on fire, I've been hanged, I've never been shot before. And he just like basically spits the fucking bullets out and throws them at the guys, and not really, but and just tears them to shreds, because this movie, like I said, it's a Wes Craven film, so be prepared to see some violence and people getting ripped to pieces, and very weird, messed up imagery in this film. Like, of course, Angela Bassett, she plays a police officer in this film who's drawn to the case, because when Dracula shows up to New York, he brings with him a wake of fucking chaos in terms of the boat that he shows up on. There's just dead bodies. That's what Dracula does. He shows up in places and leaves a fucking huge boat full of dead bodies left behind. So she's investigating that, but she finds herself strangely connected to this, and lo and behold, later on you find out that she's actually a long lost African vampire queen that should be the queen to Eddie Murphy's king. And it's all about that. And she's also an artist, and she does these paintings, and she has these visions, and she's always wondering what the fuck's wrong with her, but it all ties back to her being a vampire. And I wonder who did the effects in this film, because they did a great job. It doesn't say, but my god, man, the costume designer Ha Nuagan, great job, because Eddie Murphy looks like how he should in this film. And there's like, oh man, I'm trying to remember. Like, it's been a long time since I really watched this film, but he does do a good job in it, man. And same with at the end of the film, not to spoil it completely, but our ghoul, our Renfield guy, kind of becomes the next vampire, and fucking John Witherspoon is like, up in the front of the limousine, and he's kind of like, well, I'll drive you around, but I ain't gonna be a ghoul, kind of. It's a good movie, and they don't, like, this is just one of those good staple, or not, I guess not a staple for most, but it's a good horror film from, I believe, the early 90s or very late 80s, or 1995, so the same year as Tales from the Hood. Good, like, black fucking cinema, you know what I mean? Even though it's directed by Wes Craven, but I'm sure Wes Craven fucking had the utmost respect, and it's great, man. I'm just trying to read all the people in the back because there's names here I don't even recognize, but yeah, man. Also, I gotta say, I was reading the issue of Fangoria there talking about Vampire Brooklyn. It's kind of what enticed me to make the videos tonight. And there's some fucking awesome stuff in there. So potentially stay tuned for a video, maybe going in depth on some Fangorias, because there's some videos within that. And also, if I do that, I want to shout out 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast, because they've done that in the past where they read articles and stuff like that and read and mail. So I know that's not an original thing to tackle, of course. So I'm just putting that out there. But yeah, man, so I appreciate everybody for watching. Definitely check out Vampire in Brooklyn if you haven't, because it's great. It's it kind of has like the Nutty Professor kind of thing, where Eddie Murphy plays multiple roles in this film, which is great. So yeah, man, check out the Facebook page, and adios. Fuck, almost dropped it.